As a rugby league player, Steve Prescott was a huge success, but it was after he retired that he faced his biggest challenge.
So he phoned me from the car park, absolutely in floods of tears, really upset, and he just said, "I've got the big C." He couldn't say the word cancer.
Just a day after his son Kobe was born, Steve was diagnosed with pseudomyxoma, a rare form of cancer that affects abdominal organs.
Just to be told that from the doctor was just devastating. I mean, I think they told us that I think the words that they used, I'll never see my boys grow up. I mean, you can either go two ways when when you're told devastating news. You can either go downhill, or you can fight and go uphill. And obviously I'm going uphill.
One of the first fundraising events for the Prescott family was the match featuring Saint stars from the past and a young Taylor Prescott. Buoyed by the support of the public, Steve decided to give something back, and his foundation was launched. The first fundraising challenge was the walk to the grand final via every Super League town. Physically demanding and painful, but the spur that saw his challenges become ever more extreme.
I think deep down Stephen probably wanted to inspire people, to let people know that had been diagnosed with a condition, that you can continue and you can live a normal life to some extent, and you can do things with your family and can carry on doing things in the gym and mentally being strong, but also the financial aspect to help the hospitals and also the Rugby League Benevolent Fund to give something back to people that had helped him.
Steve was still fighting the cancer, but refused to let the illness define him. His charity work earned him the Mike Gregory Spirit of Rugby League Award and the MBE in the 2010 New Year's Honours List.
He was going through things on a daily basis that people didn't know, the pain that he was going through, the amount of drugs that he had to take on a daily basis. But he got on with it, and he set himself these challenges. And I always felt that Stephen was the best he was when he was focusing on a challenge.
That positivity helped him get through one of the toughest challenges, the race to the grand final in October 2012, from Hull to Old Trafford via Liverpool. Running, swimming and cycling. Steve was already feeling weak, but he insisted on taking on the whole challenge.
He got a bowel obstruction that didn't clear. He went onto a liquid diet, a soft diet, but eventually at the beginning of 2013, his body was telling him that he couldn't eat anymore. He went back to basics really, researched small bowel transplants on the internet, found a centre in Oxford that was successfully carrying out small bowel transplants. And yeah, he asked the question whether he would be feasible to have one. He couldn't really walk by this time, but he did get himself out of bed to get on his exercise bike to do his 15 kilometres a day to make sure he was fit enough for the operation.
In October 2013, Steve underwent this country's first ever multivisceral transplant.
His stomach, his duodenum, his pancreas, his small bowel, and his full abdominal wall. But after a couple of days, he was sat up in bed, he had the ventilator out, he telephoned Taylor and Kobe, spoke to them on the phone. He'd seen the results, he'd seen the new abdominal wall, he'd seen that he was rid of the cancer inside and outside of his body, and all he wanted was a bacon sandwich.
But on November the 9th, 2013, Steve died due to post-operation complications. His hometown of St Helens came to a standstill for his funeral. Supporters and former teammates were among those who paid tribute to a man whose bravery right to the end gave hope and inspiration to others.
Absolutely no regrets whatsoever. The fact that Stephen was given that hope, he was given an option, made the last few weeks of his life so much better than what they would have done without that.
Now Steve is remembered at the highest level of the game, with Rugby League's most prestigious individual accolade renamed the Steve Prescott Man of Steel Award in 2014. And his legacy lives on. The Steve Prescott Foundation has continued raising funds in the same extreme way.
The ambassadors that we've got on board now are fantastic. They've taken up that reign of being there, doing so. Every challenge that we do, we have at least one of our ambassadors taking part in.
In 2014, a team of 8 walked the entire length of the country from Land's End to John O'Groats in just 12 days. In October 2015, a team of 38 scaled the heights of Kilimanjaro, setting a new world record for the highest ever game of rugby league. And a year later, a team of 41 made it to Everest Base Camp as the charity broke the £1 million barrier.
The money that we hand over to the Christie goes into research, not just for pseudomyxoma, but for other similar abdominal-related cancers as well. The Rugby League Benevolent Fund supports sick and injured rugby league players. For an example, to somebody like Luke Bryan, who's a local St Helens boy who was living in a 2-up, 2-down terrace. When he got injured, he was wheelchair-based, and we've been able to put him into a purpose-built bungalow with all the adaptations that he needs for him to live as an independent life. The third area that we support is the SPF Special Causes. This is where people from the medical profession can apply to us as SPF trustees for grants to help them with their projects.
At the same time, the experience and expertise gained from Steve's pioneering surgery has helped forge a pathway for others to survive pseudomyxoma. Where there was previously no hope and no cure, there is now life and a brighter future.
He wasn't just the first patient, he was the catalyst. He made it happen. And I think it's been an inspiration and an example for doctors who look after patients with this condition. We're now looking at what we think is a really viable treatment for patients for whom there was previously no good option.
I was actually in a hospice locally. Didn't really have much hope, and I'm now eating and drinking as normal and living life, back to work part-time, learning to fly microlight and making plans for the future. So yeah, big change.
The foundation recently celebrated its 10-year anniversary, and with the fundraising challenges as exciting as ever, dozens of special causes are benefiting and cancer survival rates are on the rise.
I just think that he would be amazed and delighted to see the changes that we've made and the difference that we've made to people's lives.
I don't want to embarrass you, but you are an inspiration.
No, I wouldn't say that, no. I wouldn't say that, definitely not. I'm just doing what I can to help people.
Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Prescott.